I'm Nikki. In case you haven't ever seen my face before, it's been a minute since I, you know, chatted with you face to face. So I thought I would open up this video with a little bit of just a chatty face to face to catch up with you guys and to let you know what I've been up to lately. It's been a minute since I made a video. And that's for a couple of reasons. First, life gets busy, right? And so stuff's been going on. And for a week, I had my nieces all over. And they are 7, 5, and 2. I had a 2-year-old for a week. Whew! That takes a lot of energy that I am not used to having because mine are 14 and 18 and it's a different kind of energy. Anyway, so I had them for a week, so not a lot happened then. But then I also, to like transparency, my studio was just turning into a hot mess. And I'd been acquiring things, and as I got things from friends or Happy Mail or, as I bought supplies or even as I just kind of like reorged or used things that I had already been using, I didn't have a very great way to put them away anymore. And so they were just kind of ending up like piling up on the floor in boxes. It was just random and it was starting to stress me out a little bit. And honestly, since I had so this all kind of plays hand in hand. This is like the short abbreviated version of my life. Anyway, so since I got the, dreaded virus several months ago, my fibromyalgia and some of my chronic pain things have just not ever kind of recovered. It was a stress on my body. And even though I didn't really get all that sick. I had a slight fever for a few days and that was about it. But since then, I just have not felt the greatest. So that makes everything more difficult in life. And then my studio was absolutely chaotic, and that definitely did not help with the brain fog and some of the things that come along. And it just wasn't a very fun place to be in and create in because it was just kind of a hot mess. And I couldn't like put my hands easily on things. And so I decided it was time to overhaul that. And I thought maybe in doing so, it would be a chance to really organize. And it has been actually very good and very cathartic to do that. And so Ade, my husband, and I went to the store and bought some different new kind of shelving, and I've been organizing and reorganizing and going through and culling some of the stuff that I just don't use and repurposing and even redecorating and making this place somewhere that is now like my little slice of heaven. Honestly, guys, I really love it in here. It's cozy and it's my whole like cottagecore dream vibe going on in my little corner of the world. So I thought today I'd give you a studio tour. I've had people ask before, but honestly, it was just a hot mess. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, it's okay to have a hot mess studio. And I did for a long time. But now I spent the time to reorganize and it feels a lot better in here. So that's helping me feel a little bit better about getting back to being in here as a creative space and getting stuff done. And so now I am back to work on the project that I was working on way back when we last saw each other. And that is, I hate naming things. It's like the book that I made that had a regular journal and then it has an elastic band trifold cover over folio style thing. I hate naming things. Anyway, I was making that and I had a lot of requests to show you how I made the cover. So I am going to do a tutorial or a series on how I made the cover and how I did that. And part of that is getting the signatures ready and everything. So I am working on that right now and you'll see that over on my desk, I'm sure, in a minute when we tour the studio. But that will be my next few videos coming up. I also, way back, filmed making a tag booklet that Tracy Fox had a challenge last month, and I filmed myself doing it before I even had before I went to the studio reorganization, before I had my nieces for the week, before all that, and I just totally forgot about the footage and never posted it. So that'll be peppered in here in the next few days as well. That was a really fun project, and it was using a lot of the pieces of the same kits that I used for the project that I'm working on now. Anyway, so in the meantime, it's been the end of the basketball season for Joy. So we had, some of that stuff, and her varsity girls went to the playoffs. So we went and cheered them on. And it is still winter here in northern Minnesota. As you will see out the window today, it is very sunny. If you can see, woo, there's the one window that I'm sitting under here. But it is sunny, but there's still like a bunch of snow. Maybe I'll insert a clip here of, I have to go outside, so maybe I'll insert a clip of the massive amount of snow. Joy's track and field season is supposed to start like in a week. You would need a plow truck to go out and find the track before that can happen. She does shot and discus and sprinting. And let me tell you, there will not be any sprinting. It would be dangerous. And they'd throw the shot and the discus and they would just poof into a pile of snow and we would never find them until spring. And spring's supposed to be coming now, but she's delayed. She's delayed. So anyway, guys, I'll insert a clip here of what it looks like outside, and then I will show you my tour of my studio, and then we'll hang out a little bit today, and then we'll get to crafting again in the next video. See you in a minute. Just loaded the wood stove up. Now I'm headed back in. The snow has melted a little. The last couple of days we've had up to like the 20s. Oh, garbage is on its way. But look at this. So just for there's more deer tracks in this. But look at that. Do you see that? That is grass. You can actually see the ground there. Now, granted, this snow pile is almost as tall as me, and so is this one on the other side here. But look at this. Sorry, my nose is it's a little windy. But check that out. That's grass. And the only reason we can see it is because we had our propane filled the other day. And this is right where the wood heat runs into our house over there. So this usually melts, but we've had so much snow this winter that there's just no way it's melting at all. But now that my husband shoveled this all out so that the propane guy could get here, it's now doing its job. Well, it's not doing its job. It actually means we're losing some heat. But I wish I could give you the perspective of how tall that snowbank is right there. That one's like 6.5 feet tall. It's taller than me. So, well, I'm not 6.5 feet tall. So you probably assume that would be taller than me. Anyway, needless to say, my daughter Joy's track season will not be starting anytime soon. And here at the end of this hallway is my little slice of heaven. So, welcome to the Musings by Nikki Craft Studio. When we come in, I've got this little hallway. I like to call it my hallway. Really, it's not a hallway, but I like to call it that. And I really hope that sunlight isn't going to totally, I should have maybe drawn the blinds, but hold on. Look at that. I just drew the blinds and it's still bright white. So we'll just, work around that. At least it's sunny. It's cold and there's a ton of snow, but at least it's sunny. So when you come in, I have got all these fantastical, these lovely, like very vintage, I don't even know when they're from, a long time ago, strawberries and flowers. That's from my friend Dorothy, who is the one that passed away, and is her daughters bequeathed me some of her things they keep giving me. So anyway, these are all my aprons, and I often am wearing an apron while I am crafting because, you know, threads and glue and paint and all that sort of stuff. So I've made myself several of them. And then these are the unicorn aprons that my nieces wear. And of course, they're boas because it's much better to craft if you're wearing like a boa. and then this is my crafting sweater because it does get chilly down here in this end of the world. And I'm often wearing a sweater, but I realize that they get covered in little bits of thread and stuff from while I'm crafting. So this is my crafting sweater that I don't mind getting all kinds of little strings and glue and things on. And plus it's bright yellow, and look, it matches my brightly colored aprons, and it's just a happy thing. So then we come over here, and there's my door, and there's my lovely wall, and these are those beautiful floral cabinet cards that one of my lovely subscribers sent me. So I've got some of those. Got a little Tracy Fox representation there. And we've of course got a lovely postcard up there. And then I've got some of my favorite vintage books that I bought specifically to use the covers on, and I just can't bring myself to repurpose them. So they just sit there. These are some Dickens books, and this is Don Quixote. But look at those. Aren't they just gorgeous? And I can't bring myself to cut them up. So they're still just design for right now. And I've got my salt lamp because it's the prettiest glow. And then this is an owl because I love owls. But this is also like one of those apothecary cabinet type of things that I want to put a bunch of dried flowers in. And that's about all the further I've gotten on that. But, you know, at some point it'll be filled up. These are some bookshelves with just some of my random older books that I use, vintage books that I use to take pages out of. There's some Reader's Digests. These are some random books that I choose to take pages out of and stuff. A whole set of vintage encyclopedias. Something lovely that my nieces made me while they were here, and my favorite thing from my daughter, Elizabeth, I Flipping Like You. It's just one of my favorite things, and it will forever be in my craft studio. Then, on to the massive pile of shelves now, like so almost floor to ceiling shelves. And these folks are just the metal, like utilitarian shelving that you can get that most people would put like in their garages or something. But I figured if I put enough twinkle lights and wrapped it with some vines, that it would totally make it both utilitarian and cute. So, you know, both necessary things. So now I've just got it packed full, but it's packed full in an organized way. So all my old book covers that I use, up top we've got a whole bunch of different types of fabric bins. Those are like my neutral fabrics, cheesecloth, dyed muslins, upholstery fabrics and thicker fabrics, burlap and textured fabrics. Yeah. So look at that. I've actually sorted, and they're folded, and they're all contained nicely. Next shelf, we've got our lovely We Are Memory Keepers binder here. Then I've got some random things back there. This is all my bookbinding supplies. I've got all of my stamps and ink pads and things in this bin. Then this is just full of some like random vintage things, and a lot of these are things that have been sent to me by viewers and by friends, and so they're here because like I'm super careful about when I use them, because it's like, let's be honest, it's my hoard bin where it's the things that I really just have a hard time using. Behind there I've got my heat gun and embossing supplies. In here I've got all my paints, watercolors, gesso, gouache, acrylics, all the different pieces of things and stuff. This bin holds my cutting plates and my dies. All my dies are in there. We can come around this edge and see it. All my cutting dies and everything are in there, and my embossing folders. And then this super cool vintage honey thing has got all my fancy scissors. Then I've got my embroidery stuff tucked back in that corner next to tons of drawers, sets of drawers. And some of them are empty, you guys. They were full of randomness. But also, now I've got all my like paper clips and everything organized. Can I just tell you, when this is how it used to look at my old house when we packed up to move, you can imagine, you know, I just taped the drawers shut and this just looked like a hot mess. But now it's actually organized. So I can actually find things, bookbinding stuff, washi tape. Look at that. Magnetic tape and double stick tape. So I've got drawers and drawers full of things. Then I've got a bunch of beads, all my beads and broken jewelry, things like that I use. Random coffee filters. Here's all my sprays and texture pastes and things. Then here, next shelf, my yarn, because I do crochet as kind of just a hobby. Then here I've got all my 12 by 12 paper pads. I'm on a buying moratorium for that. I will not buy another 12 by 12 until I work my way through at least half of those. So I will probably be doing some no-kit journals coming up where I just need to work through some of those. And then here I've got my whole selection of different random either jelly printed papers or all of my different coffee stained papers. So right here is the whole stack of things. I've got my masking paper and some piano player paper and even freezer paper down there. And that's what I use. So when I'm going to create a signature, I can go through here and pick out the main bulk of the pages. And then right down underneath it, I've got my stack of like vintage music paper and that sort of thing. And then this one pulls out and it's got the random different paper pads and things. Not paper pads, like lined paper and whatnot. And lo and behold, I thought I was out, but as I was cleaning and organizing, look what I found. I still have a bunch of pages. That is vinyl cutting stuff down there. So for my scan and cut, that's my pieces of vinyl and all that sort of thing. And then this bin is for one of my ministries that we do called Little Ladies of Grace. And so there are, you know, random tea party supplies and things like that. Craft supplies that I don't use in journals, but they are for the little ladies. Then we get over to my like kind of secondary working surface here. This is stuff that I need to deal with right away. There's my die cutter. Then I've got some little stuff that I use in just kind of my daily art journaling and stuff. This is my technology bucket. And then down here, this is like all of the little pieces and things that I made as I was working on other journals, or little misprints or prints that I've cut out and used and just not used in journals, but it's kind of a grab and go to. So it's kind of a fun little place to look for things. These are all my envelopes. Look at, they're finally organized. Listen, these were like in 100 places before. Now they're all in one bin. Down here I have my large fabric scraps and my small fabric scraps. These are like eyelets and all that sort of stuff. Then over in the corner, I've got, this is my, let me see if I can pull it out a little. You guys, this is my file cabinet, and each one of these is Each one of these folders is a journal ready to happen. As I was going through things and organizing, I found all kinds of stuff. Hold on. Okay. I found all kinds of stuff that would like all go in a coffee journal, or all go in a spring journal, or all go in nature journals. So I now literally in that box have queued up probably enough work to last me the next 6 months, maybe longer. So that's what that box is. So we will be for sure working through some of that because it was a little embarrassing. And I mean, also kind of like embarrassing that I had that much stuff that I just had like printed and never used, and that was just sitting in random places and in random piles. But it's also kind of like, okay, now I have like a direction to go in and a direction to move in. So that's what that box is. So we will be revisiting that box over the coming months for sure. All right. Back down here. These are my scrap bins. So the top scrap bin is something that I've been, so you can see they're layered up. The bottom one is just my regular scrap bin, but the top one is because I totally saw the Louise Heinzel video, and then I saw Tracy do it and Gail, and they all are like making these fabulous scraps with paints and inks. So that's, I've been sorting. Those are the ones that are going to get that treatment. So maybe we'll do that together on video as well. There's my cutting machine. There is my printer. That is, currently being used by my daughter to print some, can you tell what she's a fan of? Yep, she's making a collage for her wall. So there's a whole stack of Avengers stuff there. Then I've got my paper towels hanging there on this little hook. I've got all my laces and crochet doily chunks and pieces and things. Sari silks and ribbons. This drawer is full of more like random lace scraps and stuff. This bin is my twine and little strings. These are like my sewing machine supplies and my jewelry making, like for dangles and stuff. And these are just like sewing machine things. There's my threads hanging back there and candles, and there's my lovely vine wrap. Here I've got yarns and trims and laces, vintage laces on cards. This is my huge selection of buttons, and some beads and charms and things are all in there. And then stashed in here are like wide ribbons and things that are too, like they're big wide ribbons. And then way up top of that, up by the ceiling, is my skinnier ribbons, rick-rack, that sort of stuff. So I think, and hiding back behind there's my printer, but back there on the wall is also another hanger where I've got a bunch of different kinds of trims and just like random things that I can keep out so visually I can see them, even though they're hanging back there. But that way it gives me a chance to kind of look at them and, like see them and visualize them. Then we come to my giant window, which I had to close slightly because the reason why that's so white out there is because that's all snow. Literally, that is the pile of snow so big in front of my window. Usually the ground is about 5 feet down from there, but this is literally up to the edge of my window. That's how much snow we've had this year. In the windowsill is my collection of candles because I heart candles. And so that's all, those are all the ones that I switch out and burn through. These are my hanging macrame candle jars. They have tea lights in them. And this is my lovely prism that I just got myself, but you can't see it doing its thing because I had to close the window, but it makes lovely little rainbows everywhere. Then we get to my sewing area. So there's my sewing machine and my sewing area. This is my chair with my handy dandy trusty heating pad on it because, it gets cold in Minnesota and my body aches. So have heating pad will be better. Then we get to my at hand part, right? So the part of my desk, I'm going to sit down here so I can kind of just show you exactly how I have this set up. So these are my supplies that I have at hand. Kleenex, because I need to blow my nose sometimes. This is my little bucket, my little tin of little tiny scrappy fabrics, little pieces of burlap, like neutral types of things, or things that I can kind of grab for. I switch it out as I work from project to project sometimes, but it's usually like where I keep my cheesecloth and muslin and stuff. Then I've got this section here where we have a variety of tags and photo corners and things. There's all of my different variety and selection of tags. This bin has some random papers that I can tear up and put behind things, and then some playing cards and some vintage pieces and things. Here we've got library cards, doilies. Back here again are just some random scraps of coffee dyed things, book pages, stamps, doilies, like random things that I can add in. Here I've got all my paper sacks, different paper bags, and some are coffee stained. I've got all of my coffee stained index cards, some random cards that I pull like to put in things. Here are all of my labels. They're in these little tins. I'm working on labeling the tops of those so I know which ones are which, because right now they're labeled on the top. But there's a little bin of buttons that I usually keep out. This is my I'm working on it right now box. So that is always out on my desk. That is what I am currently working on. Then that's my fireplace. It's not a fireplace, it's a TV. I often watch a lot of your videos. If you guys have videos, if you have YouTube channels and stuff, I watch you on there. But I also like to have a fire burning on it because it makes it cozy. Here's what I'm actually working on. There are my beverages, stay hydrated, guys, my ink. What I'm working on, I need to refill the small glue bottle. There are all the pieces that I have currently out. These are like the punches and the inks that I reach for most often in that little trough. The rest of my punches are in that tin, and that is my wireless keyboard for my Mac, which is up on its holder, but I can easily pull it down to work on it. Let's see, that's my Tim Holtz bin. That's empty. It's currently down to just a few pieces of cardboard, but I usually keep some scraps of cardboard and things in there. These are my Tracy Fox keep them open because I always am using them little bins of randomness. Then I've got my 2 spinners, and they are filled with like utensils, pens, markers, paintbrushes, that sort of stuff, scissors. I've got my scissor bins, and then just random things that I like to keep at hand. Hole reinforcers and such. Up top, I've got this. So it occurred to me that I never really address my filming arm, and you can see it come in and out of shot a couple of times during this tour, and you can see it behind me while I'm chatting at one point. But that's my filming arm. It's adjustable. The wires and all the thick cords wrapped around it power my camera and my light. So when I'm doing top-down filming while I'm just crafting, I can adjust it and get the camera right where I want it. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you. That's what that is. This lovely little shelf. And it has some beautiful pieces that have been sent to me by friends, my speakers. Oh, there's my hubby and I, nearly 20 years ago. There's my hubby and I and our girls, I don't know, like at 15 years ago or something. And from one of my favorite students ever. Then gifts. That was from my lovely friend M. And some beautiful things given to me by other people. Some vintage things that are kind of special to me. A painting that a friend did. Things that have been given to me. That's a painting that I did in the back. and my giant jar of pheasant feathers. Then I'm trying not to go too fast so I don't make you absolutely dizzy. Then I have my little wall shelves. That's my glue shelf. I keep all my adhesives. Here is more paintbrushes, paint markers. Those are my Bible highlighters and Bible markers and stuff that I use in my Bible. Down here I've got some random buttons. Oh, here's my tip jar. I tell the girls that they should always leave me a tip when they come in and hang out in my room. Honestly, they just do it when I wash their clothes and there's change in there in the laundry. That's where I put it. It's just a plant because green makes everything happier. This is this grapevine. I was out in the fall. We have a big row of trees out in the yard that border between ours and the neighbor's property over there. And they had this big they had these vines growing all in them. So I was pulling them out because they were choking some things off, and I decided to wrap them into a wreath, and there they are. And then here is like one of my favorite places in my studio, starting with this. These are all things that friends, dear friends, subscribers, people that I love have sent me. We all saw this beautiful journal I flipped through not that long ago. This is a lovely journal from my friends Amy, Dee Dee, and Emily, and we did a signature exchange, so those are 3 lovely signatures in there. Oh, there's my hubby and I on like one of our first dates. Look at how young we look. And then this tin is full of, like, I can't keep out, it's hard to keep out everything. And most of the time, my favorite Happy Meals to receive I love getting when people mail me a little something that they've made, or, even just a tiny card or something like that. So this is full of lovely things and pieces. And I think one of my favorite things to do is sit down and look through that and just kind of remember, right? You lovely people. There's another candle that I usually always have burning, and I usually have incense burning a couple times a day too. In this bookshelf, it's mostly like my hot glue guns and implements like that. And then these are all bins that are full of craft supplies that are like non-journal related. So some of my macrame cord, but then also things like my nieces can use when they come over, because I've got a handful of nieces that love to come and craft, and they love coming in my studio to craft. So now I've got it kind of separated out, because before they would have to look through my whole studio to like find the things they wanted to use. So now I've got it separated out. On the end of my desk are all of my printing papers. So I've got my cardstocks are down there, my regular printer paper, my fancy, I love it forever, Hammermill color copy, premium color copy paper, and my ivory cardstock. I don't mess around. We've got 1,000 of each of them now, so I'm good to go with printing for a while. And let's see, there's my current crochet project. I'm making myself a little sweater I have never done. This is probably one of the favoriteest places in my whole studio right there. That is my Bible bag. That's my new chair and my rug and my little window, and I love this corner. It's just one of the coziest places. This is a really fun project that I made a while ago. It was a Tracy Fox design team project, but it was a spring banner, and I just kind of have never taken it down. I have a fall one I made, which was also a Tracy design team project, but I just love this one, and I love how it looks. Over here, that's some lemon balm from my garden last year, but then these are all flower bouquets that my lovely daughters have bought me through the years, and I just kind of keep adding to them. And then up in this top, I've got this kind of long, skinny, cute little window here, and it's got a whole bunch of vintage, old like wooden sewing spools and stuff. A lovely cross stitch that my friend Holly made me. My birthday's in October, so yeah, it's also, fall, right? It's my favorite season. And then over here, I've got some sentimental things, some lavender I grew in my garden. And then these are all carnations from Joy's parent night. So every time there's a parent night, you get a carnation. So those are those. And a doily from Dorothy. And then in the closet are my shipping supplies. So here's where I keep all of the things, my scale, my boxes, all the things that I use to ship off my journals and products once I sell them and they're going to their new home. And then I've got like text, stuff, and my old sewing machine just in case my new one would ever break. And some lovely art from my niece Adeline. Check out her skills. Also, I'd like you to know that this is a scratch and sniff sticker, and it does still smell like hot cocoa. Yep, I just smelled my finger. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that on camera. Anyway, that's what's in there. So that's kind of the full deal. And there's my door again, right? So that is my studio. And let's see if I can do this here. Flip you back around. Hello, friends. So this is my studio. This is where I live a majority of my life, in this little room, but it is now my happy place, and I have all my things at hand, and they're out and they're organized, and I can see them and find them. And I also, do my Bible study in here, and I just come in here to watch movies. I read my books, sitting in my new cozy chair over here, and so yeah, that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. Making this into this so that I feel like I could just be in a place that was a little bit more creative and stuff. So thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for the little bit of a chat and a hangout. I hope that this didn't totally bore you. And for those of you who are really interested in my little space, now you've had a chance to see it. Now that I've finally kind of finished it. I'm going to move away from that bright window. Oof. Oh, and just kidding. And there's another bright window there. Let's spin around this way. There we go. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. I hope that you have a wonderful morning or afternoon or evening or middle of the night, whatever time it is, on whatever side of this fantastic planet of ours that we all live on and share. And I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you're healthy. I hope that you are at peace. I hope that you're being able to be crafty or do something that you love and be with the ones that you love today. And more than anything, guys, take care and God bless you. Bye. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this. It's supposed to be spring, but what do we have going on here? We have, oh, there's Lizzie's car. We have our snow removal crew out here doing city snow removal because we're still trying to clear off the sidewalks that have been icy and never really all the way cleared off, and piling up the snow. Look at the height on that pile of snow, you guys. We're gonna have snow until June.